The clockmaker's secret. The brass key felt heavier than it should have in Maya's palm as she stood before the narrow shop wedged between a bakery and a used bookstore. The faded sign above read, "Temporal Mechanisms Est. 1847, in elegant script that seemed to shimmer in the late afternoon light. Her grandmother's letter had been brief: "Find Heinrich Zimmermann. Give him this key. Tell him the pendulum must not stop." Maya pushed open the door, triggering a cascade of chimes that seemed to echo far longer than physics should allow. The shop was impossibly deep, stretching back into shadows filled with the soft ticking of countless timepieces. Grandfather clocks stood like sentries along the walls, their pendulums swaying in perfect, hypnotic synchronization. "You have her eyes," came a voice from the darkness. An elderly man emerged from behind a workbench, his wild white hair catching the light from a brass lamp. His fingers were stained with oil and his vest was covered in tiny gears and springs. "Heinrich Zimmermann?" Maya asked. He nodded, his gaze fixed on the key in her hand. "Else's granddaughter. I wondered when you would come. My grandmother died last week. She left me this key and said that the pendulum must not stop." Heinrich's voice was grave. He gestured for her to follow him deeper into the shop. "She was the last of the keepers, you know. Now that burden falls to you." They passed rows of clocks, each one unique, some carved from dark wood, others gleaming with silver and gold. But Maya noticed something strange. Despite the constant ticking, none of the clock faces showed the same time. "What exactly am I keeping?" she asked. Heinrich stopped before a grandfather clock that towered nearly to the ceiling. Its case was made of wood so dark it seemed to absorb light, and its face was covered in symbols Maya didn't recognize. "Time itself," he said simply, then inserted the key into a hidden lock at the base of the clock. The case swung open, revealing not gears and weights, but a swirling vortex of light and shadow. At its center hung a pendulum unlike any other. It seemed to be made of crystallized starlight, pulsing with an inner fire. "The temporal pendulum," Heinrich whispered. "It has swung for over 1,000 years, keeping the flow of time steady across our world. If it were to stop..." Maya stared at the impossible sight. What would happen? Time would fracture. Past and future would bleed together. Reality itself would unravel. As if responding to their conversation, the pendulum's swing began to slow. The starlight within it flickered. "It's weakening," Heinrich said urgently. "Your grandmother's death has disrupted the chain of guardianship. You must choose now. Will you take on the responsibility?" Maya looked at the pendulum, then at the old clockmaker's desperate face. She thought of her grandmother, always so secretive about her past, always checking her watch with an expression of deep concern. "What do I have to do?" Heinrich smiled for the first time. "Place your hand on the pendulum and speak your true name. The bond will be forged, and you will become its guardian until you pass the duty to another." Maya reached toward the swirling light. The moment her fingers touched the crystalline pendulum, she felt it, the heartbeat of time itself, flowing through her veins like liquid music. She understood now why her grandmother had always seemed to carry the weight of the world. "Maya Eloise Chen," she spoke clearly. The pendulum blazed with renewed light, its swing strong and sure once more. Around them, the countless clocks in the shop chimed midnight in perfect unison, though the sun was still shining outside. Heinrich closed the case and handed her a small silver pocket watch. "This will let you monitor the pendulum from anywhere. When the time comes to pass on the guardianship, you'll know." As Maya left the shop, she glanced back to see Heinrich already returning to his workbench, surrounded by the eternal ticking of time itself. The weight of her new responsibility settled on her shoulders, but she found it wasn't as heavy as she'd expected. After all, someone had to make sure tomorrow would come. The brass key, now warm in her pocket, hummed softly in rhythm with her heartbeat, and with the gentle swing of the pendulum that kept the world turning.